I'm passionate about what we do because I truly feel, what we do makes a difference. Our purpose is to give every Indian the confidence to access the best healthcare. Today, we live in an India where maybe 5.5 crore Indians fall into poverty every year because of hospitalization expense. I am a firm believer that it is man plus machine. Either you eat it or it eats you. But if work today is 95% perspiration and 5% inspiration, AI takes away perhaps 90% of that perspiration for you.
So, what's the best leadership advice that you received?
Firmly keep your feet on the ground and your head on your shoulders.
Hello and welcome to For All podcast by Great Place to Work India. I am Balbir Singh, CEO of Great Place to Work in India. In this podcast series, we speak with leaders from India Inc. to understand their stories of how did they create businesses that last and how do they create organizations where people love to turn up to work every day. Today, I have the pleasure of joining Mr. Krishnan Ramachandran, who is the MD and CEO of Niva Bupa. In this conversation, we will just know from him his journey and some of the things that we do not know about him. And it's my pleasure to welcome you, Mr. Krishnan. And tell us something that only you can tell us, not something I can find by Googling about you and your career or how you started your career, but something that only you can tell. So we'll get started.
Wow. Firstly, Balbir, please call me Krishnan unless you want me to call you Mr. Balbir.
That's good. That's good with me. Yeah, Krishnan.
Thank you for having me on this show. It has been a great privilege to participate in the annual Great Place to Work process that you run. And for us as a company, it's been an incredible journey. Maybe a little bit about that, and then I get to answering your question. Because we are in a business that is very intense from an execution standpoint. What we do is very close to people's emotions. We deal with health, and we deal with families in their most vulnerable moments. So how well we do on talent, in my mind, is the most critical success factor. I mean, if we have to be sustainably successful, this is the number one factor. And as we were grappling on, it's one thing to say that we need to do well on talent, but is there an objective external benchmark for us to use as a framework to guide our talent journey? And in my earlier organization, it was something that we used to do year on year. And when I joined what was then Max Bupa, and this is in retrospect, one of the most important decisions that we made. That look, this is something that we truly view as important. It's something that we want to continuously benchmark and improve on. And it has been an incredible journey, to participate in this. It's something that we report to our board. It's an index that every leader in the company gets measured on, not so much from the point of view of the measure,
Yeah.
but more, on how do we continuously improve and engage with respect to what we do with talent. So I thought, it's important for me to get that out, and therefore it is indeed, a privilege to be on the show with you. In terms of something that people don't know about me, I'd like to think I'm a bit of an open book. At least the people who have been with me and who work closely with me will know this. But I'm somebody who enjoys traveling a lot. I love maybe 2-3 times a year. I have 2 grown-up girls, so getting that time is increasingly precious.
Yeah.
So we do when we do trips together. It's about exploring places, seeing new cultures. So that's something I really like doing. Perhaps not so well known about me. The other thing that I do like doing outside of work is reading. And mostly these days it's been nonfiction, but I've been a voracious reader of both fiction and non-fiction over time. That's the other thing which perhaps not everybody knows about me. And I am a foodie. Uh, so do love all kinds of food, vegetarian food for most part. But every year, when it's winter in Delhi, uh, going to Chandni Chowk with friends and family is sort of an annual, something that we do annually, and enjoy exploring wherever we go and
Yeah.
wherever in India. And my job does require me to travel. Tasting different cuisines is something that I enjoy.
Hmm. No, I think that's good. It's a good start. And since you spoke about, some of the challenges that your frontline people face, because people call them at times of distress. So let me start from there itself. So if I am frontline call center employee, I receive, how do you take care of well-being or their mental wellness so that they're able to do their job and also be able to connect with the someone who's at the other end, connect with them emotionally and help them and make sure they have the right details that they need in this time of, very sensitive time that they're calling.
Yeah, I mean, so frontline sales, claims adjudicators, people who work in our contact center, or people who deal with transactions in general, and especially, addressing this for our employees who don't necessarily deal with customers at the front end
Yeah.
is an equally important, element, if you will. And I think it all stems from two things.
Mm,
One is, I know it's sort of fanciful to talk about purpose and purpose-led organizations, but genuinely, um, in Niva Bupa, we've defined for ourselves a purpose that resonates within the organization, which is we say that our purpose is to give every Indian the confidence to access the best healthcare. And this is deeply relevant from a society standpoint.
mm,
Today, we live in an India where maybe 5.5 crore Indians fall into poverty every year because of hospitalization expense.
mm,
That's the scale of the problem that we deal with. And you know what I often say when I deal with our sales teams is, look, this is really what you do. Every time you make a promise and bring somebody into the fold of Niva Pupa, and we make good on the promise that you have made, we fulfill a purpose, and in doing so, we fulfill what is a very, very fundamental need of the society that we live in.
mm,
No, so I think that is very empowering, and takes what we do outside of normal just commercial reasons. Right? Of course, we're all here to get a salary. We want a good livelihood. We want to provide good lifestyles to our families. But the fact that in doing what we do, we serve a very fundamental societal need, I think is hugely helpful. I mean, speaking for myself, I'm passionate about what we do because I truly feel,
mm,
what we do makes a difference. So that's one. Second is, we have a very, very interesting shareholder in Bupa.
mm,
Bupa is a commercial organization, but their corporate structure is very unique in the sense that they are a limited by guarantee company. All profits get reinvested back into customers, so to speak, right?
mm,
So they are a company that truly exists only for the customer.
mm,
So that, just in terms of what that means, and they are the majority 56% shareholder in the company, what it means is, as a company, we are truly in a position to say, let's do the right thing here,
mm,
right? So again, I think that's very empowering and ennobling, as far as our employees are concerned. Now, I think all of this is fine, but ultimately, for somebody who's doing something, we all get into the routines of what I call execution. And sometimes it's easy to lose sight of the fact that at the end of, on the other side of what we do is a customer who's buying into us, uh, because they believe that we will stand by them in their hour of need. So continuously reminding, all of us that, look, what is a claims file to you? What is a policy document to you? What is a transaction that you have to work with? Uh, Beneath that, behind that, is actually a real family whom you're helping. And we do that through multiple means, but one which we've been embarked on for the last few years, I'd like to highlight, is what we call uh, Smile Ko Claim Kar Le, as a program that we love, run inside the company, which is really about making all of what I'm saying real for our employees by presenting and showcasing real life customer stories. So, every month, a number of senior leaders visit an office, and a fixed agenda in that office visit is to invite customers who've benefited from the insurance policies and making it real to the employees there that, look, it's not just sales or claims files that we're dealing with here. We're dealing with real families and real lives whom we are benefiting. And we do that at scale, right? We do that with our bank branches. We do that in our offices. Every month when some of us visit our Noida back office, again, we make it a point to invite customers so that, for somebody who's dealing with maybe 40, 50 claims adjudication decisions in a day, that decision is going to help that, a family, making that real and come alive. I think ultimately is what, keeps us going.
Yeah. I think that's very important for you, which is just one amongst many cases that you handle every day. There's someone else who is dependent on that one decision. And as you said, I knew there was the scale was big, but about 5 crore people in India fall into poverty because of one serious
Yes.
hospitalization. I think that's what we keep hearing. Most Indians are just one serious hospitalization
Away
away
from,
from
absolutely.
poverty, and today I know the scale. So, Krishnan, how do you evolve as a leader? Like when you are in this business, in this industry, where you have to make sure that you are meeting your customer requirements, you're meeting your employee requirements, their growth and everything, and you're also now a listed company, but I anyways don't want to go there. But how has your leadership style evolved pre-COVID and post-COVID? Because this was an industry that probably was at the center of what was happening in COVID. So what were some of the changes that you observed in your own style and some of the leaders that you have? uh,
Yeah, I mean, in terms of my own, I would maybe not necessarily style as a leader,
yeah.
but my own evolution as a leader over the last 10, 15 years.
Hmm.
Perhaps the biggest needle, that has moved for me is the recognition and action on the centrality of what it takes to build institutions and drive sustainable performance of talent.
Hmm.
Right, ultimately, the more we move in this journey of building an organization, uh, the more nuanced and the more strong is the reflection of how strong talent practices in a fundamental way underpin everything that we do.
Hmm.
So if you ask me personally, what's been the most exciting journey as a leader, especially in the last 5 years in Niva Bupa, it's been our journey around talent.
Hmm.
Whether it's getting better in hiring talent, whether it's getting better on skilling and developing talent, just being more thoughtful about a lot of what we do around talent, about shaping culture. The earlier discussion we had around, how do we sort of get a large distributed workforce uh, aligned around uh, something like purpose, which is in my mind really about shaping culture and the kind of actions people take when they're not being watched, so to speak. Whether it's about building trust in the cadence of performance or cadence of execution, to me, this has been perhaps the most important evolution
Hmm.
I've had as a leader,
Hmm.
not just in terms of
Yeah.
leadership style. And this therefore then translates into actions and maybe style. But in terms of my own professional evolution, if I reflect back on the last 1 decade, the centrality and emphasis I place on talent is perhaps
Hmm.
the single biggest reflection I have in my own professional journey.
So when you are, let's say, hiring a leader for your own team, what are some of the things that you look out for that leader to be able to be successful in your business?
So, Balbir, in the on the hiring part,
Hmm.
what we have, again, it's a journey,
Yeah.
but over the last 24 odd months, we want to make hiring for higher probability of success a science. So we have what we refer to as a higher right program.
Hmm.
And maybe 3 years ago, my heuristic for somebody to be successful in the company could have been could have been different from somebody else's. So what we did, 24, 30 months ago was to sit down and pull together our collective experience, layer that with what the data was saying in terms of, look, when I hire, when someone else hires, there are two aspects to what we look for, right? One is skills, which is perhaps easy to or
Yeah.
relatively easy to assess, skills, experience, expertise. So that's one thing. The other is, the human the human elements, personality traits, competencies, whatever it is that you want to call, that makes that person a fit for the role and for the company.
Hmm.
A great place to work is having a company where you're surrounded by great people, right? So is this person going to be great in our context? A great leader, and there we defined a competency framework,
Hmm.
which is every leader that we hire, and leader is all the way down to somebody who's potentially a branch manager, right? Should be, should have, and we've codified this into questions, cases, case-based interviewing techniques. Should have the raw material to build high performance teams.
Hmm.
Should have the DNA to be able to deliver outcomes or execution, right? Should have a strategic mindset, because we are in a competitive environment which is very dynamic. Regulations are dynamic, new competitors are coming in, product innovation is ongoing. So not just corporate strategy, but also strategy at the grassroots level to navigate what is increasingly a complex environment. Technology is changing our world, so having a strategic mindset
Yeah.
from that standpoint, we said, is critical. For a leader to be successful in this environment and in our company. And we also, we are a very entrepreneurial company.
Hmm.
We have at least 300 shareholders,
Hmm.
of the company, and therefore we said being an entrepreneur is also a competency that we want in somebody who joins us.
Hmm.
Somebody who's not going to say that, look, I've done my job, handing it over to the next person, but somebody who will say that, look, I am the owner of this company,
Hmm.
and not only will I do my job, but I will make sure that the next person does his or her job so that the job gets done,
Hmm.
right? So this is what we have codified. All of us have been through behavioral training in terms of how to interview and onboard
Yeah.
talent, so that we get better and better at it. But broadly, this is what I look for, and it's
Hmm.
no different from what my colleagues look for when we hire talent.
Hmm. Hmm. So basically, you have tried to make everything procedure based
Process,
and
yes.
process oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Of course, there are always elements of
yeah,
judgment. I have to like you through the interview process. There
yeah,
has to be some chemistry
yeah,
match and all of
yeah,
that. But as much as possible, try and make things objective.
yeah. So, Krishnan, that's about leaders, but is there specific talent, specific advice that you want to give to people who are just joining the workforce? And if they were to join any organization, what are those attitude that will help them to be successful in any organization?
Look, and these are, as you rightly pointed out, some things that are constant and invariant,
Yeah.
across time and across organizations. And number one in my list, and this could be different with Other people may think differently. Number one in my list is passion.
Mm.
You know, passion to do whatever it is that you're doing well. In my mind, to anyone who's looking to enter into corporate life, I'd say find something that you're passionate about doing. Because beyond a point, if you're doing something because it's giving you income, giving you a lifestyle, but not giving you uh, quote unquote happiness, walk out and find something else to do. Because when you think about it, you spend 8, 9, 10 hours of that part of the day when you're awake
Mm.
in a workplace. So it's critical that you're passionate about it. So that's one advice, and this is something that I tell my older daughter who's just recently joined the workforce. I say
Okay.
it doesn't matter. You have to like what you're doing. You have to be
Mm.
passionate about it, and you should do it without necessarily having being told
Mm.
that you need to do it, right? So that's one. Second is I'd say the second piece of advice I would have is, and I think it all flows from this point on passion, is be damn good at what you do,
Mm.
over time. So, which means build knowledge, build expertise around what you do so that you make a mark
Mm.
for yourself in that particular arena. Third is whatever you do is making a difference to some customer somewhere. As
Mm.
I guess most companies would have customers. So the quality of what you do and the output that comes out of your hand, it should it should be something that you would consume, as a customer,
Mm.
right? We are all customers and we are all producers in that sense, right? So in a corporate context, you're a producer for some customer. So whatever that passes from your hand, it may not necessarily be, it is that which gets into the hands of the customer, but you've had a role. So you better make sure that it is something that you would be, happy
Mm.
consuming. So I'd say many things flow from there in terms of commitment. जो भी अपने हाथ से जा रहा है,
Yeah.
it should be something that you're proud about, right?
Yeah.
So I'd say that's the third thing I would add. And perhaps the last one I would say is, look, it's important to work hard, but equally it's important to work smart. A lot of times in corporate life, it's very easy to not pick the right areas to work on, right? You know, prioritizing is something that I think most organizations, most leaders struggle with.
Mm.
So picking what matters, um, and working hard on that is the combination of working hard and working smart. This is what I tell
Yeah.
the teams here, and I'm sort of repeating that to
Yeah.
you,
So
Balbir.
now, if this is your answer, if I were to segue into something which is touching all of us right now, is going to impact more and more people, is AI. Now, when you're talking to someone who's young and say you have to be damn good at what you are doing and of course be passionate, but how do I be sure about the AI of technology if my job will get replaced by something that AI can do much better than me? So, how do you create that sense of security in people who want to do something which they enjoy? And do you see AI as an enabler in what we do? And we can also talk about your industry, how it is impacting your industry. Or do you see AI as something that is going to change the way we operate today and the world will be very different 20 years from now?
See, to the first part of your question, I will repeat because I guess the vast majority of the workforce is going to be Gen Z and the
Yeah.
generation that comes after that. I will repeat what I tell my daughter. She's a she's a visual illustration designer,
Hmm.
and the AI is definitely going to disrupt, that profession.
Yeah.
And she's very passionate about what she does. And initially, she was very skeptical, saying that, look, I'd like to do this with my own hand
Yeah.
because that's where the whole creativity and all of that comes
Hmm.
in, right? And I think many of her peers feel that way. That
Hmm.
hey, uh, this is
Yeah.
about creativity and the human mind.
Yeah.
AI is a bit of an enemy But I think I'm still working at her. I don't think I've won this battle. But what I tell her and what I repeat to any audience who's listening to this, Balbir, is look, it's this technology is there to stay. Uh, Either you eat it or it eats you, which means embrace it and use it. Use it for your benefit. In any job, there are things that are routine and repeatable, and human intelligence, human creativity, human emotion comes on top of that. So what I keep telling her is, look, embrace this technology, learn everything you can about it, and use it for your benefit. Because ultimately, human creativity, ingenuity, intelligence does have a role. But if work today is 95% perspiration and 5% inspiration, AI takes away perhaps 90% of that perspiration for you. So imagine a world where you can, that 5% or 10%, becomes 100% or close to 100%, right? And imagine how much more powerful human ingenuity, creativity, and all of that stuff can be. So this is the same advice, I have to anybody who's any industry, that look, this technology is transformative. It is here to stay. Therefore, embrace it and bring in all of your skills on top of it. Which sort of gets to the second part of your question. I am a firm believer that it is man plus machine. Right? If you sort of look at the long arc of technology disruption, revolution, whatever whenever a new technology comes in, and this is not a rule, this is not a science, but this is how things have played out over history. There is always fear about job loss, disruption, and so on and so forth. But almost every technology that's played out so far, and I'm of the view that this technology will be the same, becomes a force multiplier, and becomes a force multiplier to human beings, right? And I personally feel that this technology as well is going to play a very important role, in the same way as many other transformative and revolutionary technologies. I mean, just imagine in a country like India, you said our industry, but I'll take an industry which is also our industry, which is healthcare, right?
Yeah.
One of the bigger shortages we have in our country is of doctors, right? Imagine, imagine how many more people could potentially be screened for cancer if you had a machine do 95% of a radiologist's job. How many more people could be screened basis signs and symptoms. So from a preventive health, promotive health standpoint, this technology is a massive force multiplier, right? So, to sort of summarize it, I am of the firm view that this technology is going to be a force for the good, and it will again be a case of man plus machine, with man or women, as the case may be, becoming much more powerful because of machine.
So you answered both the questions already. I was just thinking, are there any real life cases scenarios that you're implementing AI in your organization, like because you have tons of data, you will,
Yes.
and to simplify some of the things or automate some of the decision making that happens?
So we are deploying algorithms underpinned by AI machine learning across the value chain.
Okay.
So whether it's issuing a policy, making a product recommendation, adjudicating a claim, detecting fraud, putting the power of AI in the hands of our contact center staff or our customer. I'd say across the value chain we have embraced and are using. So what we call it within the company is intelligent automation, which gives the ability to make decisions, by at the edge, right? So if the mobile phone is the device that I'm using, let's say for sales, put the power of intelligence AI and decision making in the hands of the sales for the
Understood.
salesperson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as a CEO, you have spoken about understanding the customer, but how do you stay on top of your employee pulse? How, who are your, how do you listen to your employees? How do you stay on top of, what your organization is feeling at any moment?
Sure. And it comes from a regular and frequent multiple data points. Let me just step back. Right.
Yeah.
One is the data point that we get from you
Yeah.
once a year, right? Which is actually, I think our participation rate was 91,
Yeah.
92%.
It's pretty high.
So we have, those employees in what's a very well thought through and comprehensive way, giving us feedback on how we're doing across the various dimensions, right? So that's one important data point. The second set of data points is a cadence, which I mentioned to you, that the leadership team, including myself, has around visiting branches and
Yeah.
engaging with employees. So broadly, there, the typical visit is a combination of three, four things. One is, and we start always with an employee town hall and a Q&A session, right? So it's about, hey, tell us what are your problems and how can
Yeah.
we solve them. So that's direct feedback from employees. Then we have the customer program, where we sort of um, run the Smile Ko Claim Kar Le, right? Distributors are very important. So there's a distributor angle, but as far as the employee is concerned, that is one mechanism. Second is we do something similar with our back office staff. Third is one-on-one conversations with obviously there's bandwidth
Yeah.
limitations but definitely making sure that there's one-on-one discussions, formal, informal, with maybe 60, 70 people through the course of the year. And you know Priyanka helps set up coffee conversations with groups of employees, maybe once a month. But all of this is uh, themed around three things, right? What should we start doing to become a better company?
Yeah.
What should we stop doing?
Yeah.
That's some stupid stuff that
Yeah.
we're doing that we should stop doing. And the last is, what should we continue doing? Something that
Yeah.
we're doing
Yeah.
well, let's make sure we continue doing that.
Yeah. Looking back at your leadership journey, what is something that you're very proud of? I think you did that call, took that decision, and hindsight, you think, that is something you did. It was very difficult decision at that time, but something that makes you proud of.
From an outcome standpoint, uh, there's only so many companies that have had the good fortune of being listed
Yeah.
In our country. And as a professional, I'd say that's been perhaps the most fulfilling aspect of the 5-year journey that the leaders in Niva Bupa and I have, in fact,
Yeah.
every employee have had. And we did list under challenging
Yeah.
circumstances. And, they were running up to the actual event. There were many times when we could have, and many advisors told us, postpone
Now
this.
is not the right
Yeah,
time.
now is not the right time. You can get better valuation and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. But eventually, between the shareholders and me, we took the call that look, we've come so far. Maybe we could get a few rupees more. Maybe we could have better demand, more investors. But we felt that we had enough who trusted, in the journey, in the team, and what we were capable of doing. And we eventually took that decision to go ahead and list in a very, very tricky time. So
Yeah.
that's something, on balance, I guess, a good decision that we took. It's worked out well. It was also a time when not just the markets were challenging, but also there were a large number of changes from a regulatory standpoint, potential changes from a policy standpoint. So there were a lot of questions, a lot of challenges, but we took the call, and touch wood, it's been so far so good.
Okay. So, what is it that you do to take care of your own stay sane, your own well-being, and how do you ensure that your leaders are able to take care of their own well-being?
Um, so I some time ago I read this book called Outlive
Hmm.
by Dr. Peter Attia, and I firmly believe it's a book that all of us should read, and it has some very good principles of what we all need to do,
Hmm.
uh, uh, to stay healthy, and I think the most important part of any corporate journey is to be physically and emotionally fit.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think many of us tend to not realize or tend to underplay the importance of being healthy to actual professional performance. Uh, so I'd say that's the number one agenda that many of us have realized that look, um, great performance comes from a place of good health and a place of emotional safety and security. And as a company, that's something that we firmly, and I was really happy that in 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 the recognition that
Hmm.
GPTW gave us as well in terms of employee health and
Yeah.
well-being. We did get recognized as a top 50 employer, if I recall right. But that's something that we've been
Hmm.
consciously working on, because as I said, this business is perhaps more demanding than many other businesses because we do need to be available
Hmm.
24 by 7. Health is 24 by 7. So the two ingredients to sustain yourself in this journey, one is passion,
Yeah.
right? You have to like what you're doing to be in a health or a health insurance business. Second is you've got to be physically healthy,
Hmm.
physically and mentally healthy.
Hmm.
So
What do you do? What do you do to stay
so
physically and mentally
I
healthy?
I exercise, walk
Okay.
regularly. Uh, I think my journey with yoga is more than 5 years old.
Okay.
So at least 3 times a week.
Great. Nice. So
And just being careful about on the one side I said I'm a foodie,
yeah.
but on the other side, I'm a controlled foodie now.
Hmm. Okay. Measured foodie.
Measured foodie.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So, Kristen, we've spoken about a lot of things. So, what's the best leadership advice that you received when you were, growing up in your journey of where you are right now? Something that you can relate to even today.
I think different people have told me um, different things, so I wouldn't pick one,
Yeah.
but maybe I'll relate to two three that have
Yeah, sure.
stuck with me. One is uh, firmly keep your feet on the ground
Hmm.
and your head on your shoulders. Um, Success is a combination of so many things that need to fall in place.
Hmm.
It's not just your ability or your skill, but it's also about the environment and luck. So that is one very valuable leadership lesson, which is to stay grounded, stay humble, and to recognize that outcomes come because of many things. Your effort, skills are only one part. Always recognize that maybe luck is 50% of
Yeah.
where you get to. So that's one important. Many people have given me this advice, and I do truly believe in it. That's one. Second is the value of being patient and being persistent.
Hmm.
I believe that over time, water will find its level.
Hmm.
So, as leaders, you may not get results immediately as fast as you want. And this is also, true of career. That staying with things, being patient, being persistent, luck will, fortune does smile on the prepared mind. Therefore, and water will find its level. So I think these are the
Okay.
two things that have stuck with me.
Okay, and what's that one leadership myth that you think we should just get away with?
A lot of the public perception puts down organizational success to one person or one leader,
Hmm.
which I personally think is a myth.
Hmm.
Ultimately, uh, organizational success is always, corporate world, the corporate life is a team game. But the glorification of individual leaders as being the reason for success, I personally think is a myth.
Okay.
I think organizations that do well over time are those that have strong leaders across the board.
Hmm.
The CEO of the company is only the face
Yeah.
to what many people do. So to ascribe that ABC company is doing well because they have a great CEO, I think is an absolute myth.
Hmm. I think that's where the culture and the foundations play the role. And
Yeah, I mean, I guess we live in a world where heuristics are helpful. Making it makes for good media,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So glorifying personalities, is good news. But at the end of the day, it's a myth.
And last question, and then we move to a quick rapid fire. What do you see as the future of the industry, the health industry, healthcare industry overall in India in the next 10 to 15 years?
Oh, I think it is the most exciting opportunity that India is faced with
Hmm.
as an industry. It is what you would call truly a multi-decadal growth opportunity, given given the need which we
Yeah,
spoke about. I mean, it's given the crying need
yeah,
which we spoke about, and the impact. I mean, there is no more exciting space to be in than health insurance in our country.
great. Okay, quick rapid fire now. A skill that you think every professional must have.
The ability to work hard.
Book that you would recommend everybody to read.
Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman.
One habit that keeps you grounded.
Yoga.
What is it that you admire the most in people?
I think the ability to operate at 30,000 feet as well as 1,000 feet, is what I would admire.
Okay,
What I've just told you in terms of what I'm telling
your
many other 20-year-olds.
okay, okay,
So my
okay,
advice to myself would be no different, I think.
okay, okay. And the last one, what's that leadership behavior that that we could see in more leaders that you meet? This one trait,
Humility.
humility. Okay, with that, I think we'll end this series of questions. Thank you for your time, Krishnan. It was an honor speaking with you, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Balbir. Has been a privilege. Thank you
Thank you.
for having me.